So what if you weren't just an ordinary person? Today, we're diving into a really radical idea from a daily devotional that completely challenges how we see ourselves. It's suggesting an identity that is, well, far from average. Let's get right into it. Everything we're going to talk about today really starts right here with this incredibly powerful statement. Just think about those words for a second. Chosen, royal, special. These are not small claims. The source argues this isn't just nice poetry, it's a fundamental truth. So what does it actually mean to live like this is real? That's what we're here to unpack. All right, so the first huge idea to wrap your head around is this. That royal identity we just read about, it's not meant to be just some comforting metaphor. The source material presents it as an actual lived reality. And this is where the source really draws a line in the sand. On one side, you have the view that this is just a nice motivational thought, right? Something symbolic. But on the other side, it argues no, it's a factual state of being. And the reason is because a believer literally carries the very life of God within them. This brings us to a really key phrase from the text, a dispenser of eternal verities. Now, I know that sounds a little academic, but what it's essentially saying is this. You're not just holding on to this divine life for yourself. You're actually meant to be an active source of it, able to impact the world around you with these eternal truths.
Okay, so if this identity is a reality, then where's the proof, right? Well, the source material points to what it calls observable signs as the evidence. Let's take a look at what those are. The scriptural foundation for these so-called signs comes directly from this passage in Mark. The source uses this to make a powerful point. Believers are not meant to be ordinary. The text suggests that certain supernatural signs aren't the exception. They're the expected outcome and evidence of this divine nature. And here they are, the 5 specific signs that are listed. The source presents these, everything from casting out demons to healing the sick, not as some kind of rare, once-in-a-lifetime miracle, but as the natural, expected result of carrying this divine identity. Now, the argument doesn't just stop at supernatural signs. It goes deeper. The source then traces this special identity all the way back through a specific spiritual lineage, connecting it directly to the historical figure of Abraham. This timeline here lays out the logic really clearly. See, it all starts with a promise made to Abraham that he would be a blessing. Then, that promise was extended to his seed. And here's the crucial final step. According to the source, believers in Christ are identified as that very seed, which makes them direct heirs to that original promise. Okay, so we've talked about the identity, the evidence, and the heritage. But so what? What's the practical application of all this? The source argues it all boils down to a fundamental shift in consciousness, a totally new way of seeing yourself. And here's that contrast in a nutshell. The source says you need to move away from seeing yourself as just one of the crowd, a commoner, maybe even needy, and instead adopt what it calls the royal view. Seeing yourself as a king priest, handpicked by God, a peculiar treasure. And by peculiar, it doesn't mean weird, it means unique, valuable, set apart for a special purpose. To really solidify this shift in thinking, the source text actually gives you a personal declaration to make. Now, this isn't just about positive affirmations. It's framed as the verbal expression of this new reality. The idea is that the very act of saying, I'm special, I'm royalty, helps align your mind with this identity. All right, let's pull all of these threads together. When you boil it all down, what are the key building blocks of this identity? Here are the main takeaways we've covered. So the devotional pulls from several different scriptures to build this complete picture. You're a royal priesthood, which is where we started. You're also Abraham's seed, inheriting that ancient promise. And other texts describe you as God's treasured possession and even his own handiwork, created with purpose. So this is really the most crucial point of all. According to the source, just knowing these facts isn't enough. Not even close. The central instruction, the ultimate call to action, is to carry this consciousness. It's about internalizing this identity so deeply that it literally shapes how you think, speak, and act every single day. And that really leaves us with the central challenge of the devotional. You know, it's one thing to hear this and think, wow, that's interesting, but it's another thing entirely to live it. So the question to really chew on is this. What does it truly mean to carry a consciousness of this identity with you, day in and day out?